If you were one of the first companies, was it hard to find talent then?
Talent is really hard in India, man. We have, we always look at the number of engineers graduating, but you require an immense amount of fundamental knowledge and exposure to invent. This is not jugaad, right? We are like taking physics principles, engineering principles, pushing it to the limit of modern software simulation testing to build these products. So you don't need the best talent in India, you need the best talent in the world to build something like
You need
this.
modern day polymaths.
Yes. And each person needs to be a problem solver who cares very deeply about what they're doing. And I don't think no amount of money or equity will solve that problem. It'll always be less. Right? There's no cap to what a person would want to make personally. So it's not like a company can pay today, even if I 5x the compensation, right? I will still be, and if I only operate in India, I'll still be limited by what the market has to offer, right? It's not a money problem. Is it where is and India on the other hand, unfortunately, has a very high brain drain, right? I think if I'm not wrong, 7 lakh people leave the country every year, 700,000 brains leaving the country every year, compounded over 3 decades, ridiculous, right? Um, I was told, early on, we had this investor in Hong Kong, and he told me there's 1 billion people in India, you can't find your people. This was like in 2021. I was like, look, man, and his sentiment is right? And he was motivating me to look deeper. And it was like now 3 years later, they buy my story a lot more. So we've used every agency. We still have, I believe, the best engineering team in India, but I think we can compound further and build the best in the world. And I think many of the existing engineers are making that journey. They're pushing very hard, right? And which is why Praan has been able to build. It's all the deep passion and desire our engineers have. But I think to go very fast, because it's an important problem for the world to solve. That's where the US-India story works very well for Praan, right? We get to have the best of both worlds. But how hard is it to get talent is incredibly hard. And I think if I were to isolate all business problems, finance, product engineering, customer, I think isolated problem would be the pace at which you hire incredible people and the pace at which your customer base grows. Both of these will determine how successful you are.
You brought up the brain drain. There's a formula in place for young Indian kids who have the opportunity and the privilege of being able to study in the US. Then the formula is you typically do your undergrad in India, you go for a master's in the US, sometimes on student loan, try to land a good opportunity here. You spend the rest of your life here. You visit home once or twice every year. You were faced with the same question when you were at Georgia Tech. When you graduated, you had multiple opportunities from Meta, Tesla. You said no to it, started your own venture, a very risky hard tech venture, and you went back. How do we solve for this brain drain that's been in motion for decades? You've moved back. How challenging was that decision? Would you encourage other people to do the same?
So I think if it's like there's multiple aspects to it. Okay. It's not just career aspects, right? I think career aspect is an easy one to address, right? Theoretically, if I raise enough venture capital or companies doing well, I'll match the salary someone makes in the Bay Area. People don't move back for salary or don't take a job for salary. Many times it's also the desire to have a certain lifestyle, to breathe a certain air, to be able to travel a certain way. And those problems India may not be able to solve immediately. So I think but at the same time, there is one truth. If you'll see most people who live abroad, and it's not just Indians, whether it's like Asians who live in in the US or Europe, and anyone who's away from home in another country, there's always a sense of worry that I'm too far away from home. If something goes wrong, this time is not coming back. I will not get this time with family. So that is always hovering over a person who's far from home. So when you work for cross-border companies like us, you get the best of both worlds, right? We have factory and engineering and customers in India. We're building the same stuff here. There's a lot of cross exchange of talent. You get to be in both places. You're solving problem for people you care about at home. At the same time, you're getting to work with the smartest people in the world in here and in India. You're learning how to manufacture in India as opposed to China. So there's like we're trying to create this ecosystem which gives the person the best of both worlds, right? It sounds too good, and of course we'll have a lot of challenges, and we'll have more learnings along the way. So what is it that India can do? Most people who move back to India start businesses or join family businesses, or they take up a job and struggle and then move back abroad again. The culture of the old work culture is not conducive to intellectual growth in India. Modern startup culture, perhaps. And now, because these people may say have worked here, they feel like, oh, I don't want to work for somebody else in India, so let me start a company. And getting a seed round, up to $1 million, not hard. So that's the real story of the workforce in India. So how do we, firstly, I like my hardest question that I ask everybody is, how do you bridge the exposure gap and the cultural gap for people who already live in India? Because I think they still have the intent to work. They still want to succeed financially. They want to learn new things. The holding back factor for the companies is they don't want to spend 3 years training a person and then they move on and they don't actually add value to the business, right? I think like it's a very complicated problem, but today when Praan hires in India, it hires for intent. When I hire in the US, I hire for capability.
What's the difference?
India, I cannot expect some of those capabilities because those people didn't have the fair opportunity to learn these things in school, right? So those we will train, but I cannot train you on your intent and your integrity and why you show up to work every day and do you work very hard and do you take responsibility. And in the US now, those are a given if we are interviewing a candidate. Otherwise, they don't even get into the interview process, right? We have some proof of exceptional ability or track record. You've shown consistency. You've solved hard problems. I want to talk to you. Then I hard press on skills and your fundamentals. And can you actually own and solve problems? Can I rely on you to engineer the best possible product because you know your fundamentals, right? So this is sort of currently how we hire in India and US.